Yeah, so welcome everyone. Oh, this is something else. Yes. So we have to start today reason and revelation. Last time we had touched upon reason and faith. 200. Yeah, here. So if anyone would like to begin the reading, you're welcome to do. Maybe you can read it all at once. It's a small bit only. Yeah, anyone?
I can read. Shall I read, Monica?
Yes, please. Yes, Shilpa. Go ahead. Yeah.
Reason and Revelation. The greatest scriptures of the world, those that have given spiritual strength and sustenance, light and joy to humanity through the ages, are words of revelation and not of reason. The Veda, the Upanishad, the Bible, the Avesta, for example, are so powerfully revealing because they embody direct revelation. They are perennially fresh and creative, inspiring and ennobling and exalting because they were not manufactured in the mind of reason, in the shadow of human ignorance, but flashed as revelation in the deeper or higher consciousness of man, which can be attained only by silencing and overpassing reason, denouncing all mental judgments as ignorant and erroneous, and describing the way to receive the higher light, the flash of revelation. The mother says, if you wish to be a little wiser, observe things attentively, record them without pronouncing any judgment. When you will have contemplated them quietly within yourself, place them before the highest part of your consciousness, trying to keep yourself silently attentive and wait. Then, perhaps slowly, as if coming from very far and from very high, something like a light will manifest itself, and you will know a little more of the truth. That is the ancient traditional way of attaining knowledge, by vision, by inspiration, by revelation. When thought has ceased, the mind of reason has been lulled to sleep, and an inner or higher level of consciousness has awakened in a spirit of intent receptivity. There are higher regions of consciousness beyond the intellect, and you have to stop all intellectual activity. Make your mind a total blank before you can reach there. And indulgence in even so-called higher or philosophic speculations can only block the way to the true consciousness and knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you, Shilpa. So if anyone has anything to share.
Just a basic, observation that not even realizing why, when one is so ruled by everything that one is receiving, which is usually a reason, a hence proof, this is leading to that kind of a thing. When one says sits in front of a Upanishad session, or how one say, I don't know, the Vedas, anything, it's very different. The whole experience is very different. And I just realized it for the first time. Why? Because there's no mental calculation, there is no hence proved and stuff. It's just this revelatory, right? Like and there is no, okay, this is leading to this, so this supports this. It's said like that's it, right? Okay. Vijatiya Vitri, Vijatriya Vitri, in the sense, it's just given. Okay, ye lo. It's not added up and presented ki now you get it. Like, I don't know if I'm able to express myself, but this revelation and our basic mental derivations, I mean, how different they are. It's really like it was kind of revelatory to realize that the revelations were the ones that kind of making that distinction. Yeah, just
Again and again we have been coming across in various ways through Mother Sri Aurobindo, sometimes through Savitri, that it is most essential now for us to quieten down the mind. Again and again, आप देखो, repeatedly we have been coming across this. अगर अभी भी goes out, we go out again and again. Anyway, so let's go over it again. And that day we were talking about when Sri Aurobindo had first, silenced his mind and had the experience of silent Brahman before his Uttarpada speech. So he didn't know, like, what will I be able to speak, since I don't have anything in the mind. And he said, no, go and speak, words will come. So that is where one needs to have, which last time, before this it was reason and faith, because faith and intuitive knowledge go together. Because if the mind is blank, and like one can wonder, what will I speak, because I have nothing in the mind. Jugali nahi chal rahi, there is no rumination, it's direct knowledge. So it's very interesting if we can all allow ourselves to be that, and trust that yes, if required, the words will be given. That's how slowly we can. And in one of those lines in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo also says that how it's like a suffocating air which keeps circulating in our sense mind. It's like it's not a fresh air. It's a suffocating air that goes on and on. And through that, whatever words will come, how far they can take us. Beautiful message. They are perennially fresh and creative, inspiring and ennobling, and exalting, because they were not manufactured in the mind of reason factory, in the shadow of human ignorance, but flashed as a revelation in the depth, in deeper or higher consciousness of man. So two aspects, depth and height. If different centers work to take us deeper and then to take us higher. flashed as revelation in the deeper or higher consciousness. So with Mother and Sri Aurobindo, we get these two aspects very, at least clearly, not very maybe, but clearly. There, when Mother says, one possibility is going into the horizontal depths of your heart. So stationing either there or going above the head, but not remaining in the brain lodged consciousness. And it's very interesting. Last time I was talking about, discussing about this Mother's music and how, since Mother's music is like it elevates us, it uplifts us. So when we are very thoughtful, like it's full of thoughts and going on, and not even too much, but a little rumination is going on, we actually won't be able to feel very comfortable with Mother's music. While if you persist and do effort in placing your consciousness either deeper or higher, you will see that you resonate more with that organ music by the Mother. So it, as if it's acting as a support to stabilize yourself, not in the brain lodged consciousness where usually we are. It will push us, it will make us a little uncomfortable. Not a very, I can't call it a very soothing music. The first time I heard it, as for an ordinary consciousness, the first time I heard it, I could not connect with it. I was not able, I was wondering, like, I don't think it's a meditation music, because I didn't know about the Mother, I didn't know about anything. Even now, not saying that I know about anything, but I now feel that when I elevate my consciousness, then I resonate with Mother's music more. This is what I feel personally. Yeah, so this deeper or higher consciousness of man, which can be attained only by silencing and overpassing reason. So either silencing or overpassing. So it may be there, the ripples may be there, but one doesn't listen to it, one goes beyond and above. Denouncing all mental judgments as ignorant and erroneous, and describing the way to receive the higher light, the flash of revelation. The Mother says, if you wish to be a little wiser, है ना, अब हो सकता है most of us think or some of us think, अरे मैं तो ठीक ही हूँ, I am wise. तो जब वहाँ पे जरूरत नहीं है, then there is no, of course one would not make the effort. But when one feels that no, it is needed that I go beyond my limited vision, if you wish to be a little wiser, observe things attentively, record them without pronouncing any judgment. So from time to time we make conclusions in our head, and we stick to those conclusions कि नहीं, मैंने ये देखा, मैंने ये सुना, इसका मतलब ये, we stick to those conclusions. So not pronouncing any judgment, not declaring that no, this is it, not holding anything tightly. And actually today we were reading in Synthesis of Yoga that this is a distortion of the mind where it holds things tightly. It sticks to its opinion, it sticks to its preferences, likes and judgments. So it's a distortion, as if उसको clearly दिखने में मुश्किल हो रही है because of that. So to record them without pronouncing any judgment, without making any category, good, bad, left, right, beautiful, ugly, when you will have contemplated them quietly within yourself, place them before the highest part of your consciousness. And this would refer to, our disinterestedness. So that personally you don't have any interest from this observation, whether it goes left or right. It doesn't matter, it should go, take the direction of true. It should be in the alignment with truth consciousness. I don't care whether it goes left or right. You may see that your bias may be left, but the bias also you keep aside. The biases may be there, but you override them. So placing them before the highest part of your consciousness, trying to keep yourself silently attentive and wait. अब इसमें बड़ा मजा आता है. Those of us who have waited, I'm sure we all have at different moments of time, because in waiting, a part of us which is very restless in trying to jump to a conclusion, it settles down. So now I'm not sticking to any conclusion. I have contentment whether it goes left or right. Irrespective, contentment is there. Otherwise, on those outer decisions or outer conclusions, our contentment begins to depend. So it makes us very discontent when the decision is taken in another way. So this wait, I believe, is for me, it resonates. Then perhaps slowly, as if coming from very far and from very high, something like a light will manifest itself. दूर से संदेशा आ रहा है, because you waited. हमको तो जल्दी होती है, तो हमें ना छोटे मोटे जो हमारे आंसर्स मिलते हैं उनसे काम चला लेते हैं कि ठीक ही तो लग रहा है. So if we really want a true answer, wait. Something like a light will manifest itself, and you will know a little more of truth. Just a little more. I think that's also very important, since it is vast and limitless. But at least that baby step was made. Yeah, beautiful. This also, that a traditional way, our Vedic rishis, seers, yogis, the traditional way of attaining knowledge by vision, by inspiration, by revelation. It was given to them when their mind was quiet. I think that's why they call it shrutis. Shrutis, that they just got it. They heard it. They heard it. By revelation, when thought has ceased, the mind of reason has been lulled to sleep. Soja beta, soja beta, soja beta. Lulled to sleep, and an inner or higher level of consciousness has awakened in a spirit of intent receptivity. So this Sri Aurobindo talks about these gradations of minds above our little sense mind, for which if we want to access those domains, then we have to silent, the container has to be kept empty and silent and stable, so that the flow can come. तो पहले कचरा निकालना बहुत जरूरी है, कचरे को स्टेबल कराना, सेटल कराना, कि वो उछलता नहीं रहे, to keep the container steady, still, empty as much as possible, and wait. There are higher regions of consciousness beyond the intellect, and Sri Aurobindo talks about them. We can actually go into the names also, where he talks about the higher mind, the illumined mind, the intuitive mind, over mind, and then the super mind. अभी जहाँ पे हम मोस्टली होते हैं, we are in the sense mind, sense bound mind. Everything which is coming by the senses, through the senses, to that the mind just adds one layer of interpretation, and that's it. That's our knowledge. But if we want to go further and access all these domains which are made for us, then we have to silence the mind. So there are higher regions of consciousness beyond the intellect, and you have to stop all intellectual activity. Make your mind a total blank before you can reach there. And indulgence in even so-called higher or philosophical speculations, काफी बार तर्क वितर्क, there is no end to all that. We can go round and round, and maze bade aate hain. It's not that it doesn't give us joy. It gives us joy when we are intellectualizing, philosophizing. But if we don't want to be there and maybe make access to some higher, it's our birthright actually, one can say. So these philosophical speculations can only block the way to the true consciousness and knowledge. Yeah, so this is taken from the Yoga of Sri Aurobindo by Nolinida.
Ma'am, a couple of things, Anushka.
Yes, yes, yes.
First thing is um, requesting you to share, if you can show that screen again. Yeah, so if you can share the um mother's lines where, if you wish to be a little wiser, all the way until the end, if you can share that in the group, I'll just save it somewhere. Also, second thing is, I realized that how much unlearning there is to do, because uh, you know if I read that, it totally contradicts the way saw things, because always my teachers told me, pay attention, reason, ask questions, like not ask questions, but always, try to come up with new things. And the intellectual mind was always ahead, and it was always exhausted too. Like there were certain things I could not relate to, and then I know, the natural tendency is to think ki, maybe this is not the way, that is the way. That so these questions, no, what they used to do, even when I'm listening to your sessions, sometimes when I'm listening to something that I don't understand, I make up my own things. And I think I've shared this, that I listen, I my ears are open, my eyes are attentive, but my mind is doing something else. So going through those lines, um, it says, ma'am, I'm sorry, can you say that again? I'm bad at remembering. It says, if you wish to be a little wiser, observe things attentively, record them without pronouncing any judgment. When you will have contemplated them quietly within yourself, place them before the highest part of your consciousness, trying to keep yourself silently attentive and wait. So, ma'am, uh, I understood until it says, when you have contemplated them quietly within yourself, but place them before the highest part of your consciousness. So, ma'am, what is the highest part of my consciousness? Like if you can explain or tell me how to, if I'm listening to something, how do I keep that, and what is the process to this?
Mother talks about, when she talks about how to awaken the psychic being, she gives us many suggestions, and one of them is that while you go to sleep, when you go to sleep and you are lying down, for example, before going to sleep, you close your eyes and review all the things that you have done through the day, and as if you're passing it through a screen, scrolling through, and just by this consciously looking at things, this consciousness which is forever present in us and is looking, you will get to know those things which you could have done better, or maybe were not in alignment with true consciousness. So this thing in us knows. So one of the way it explaining it, there may be several ways, is that highest part may also can be accessed when we are silently, because for this you have to be silent a little. You can't just do it in harbadi, because you would not get to know clearly, acha, which exactly was the point where I slipped. So you need to be quiet, you need to be conscious and ready to look at your mistakes. तो इसके लिए एक there is a certain level of degree of quietness already, which is a prerequisite required for such a state. Otherwise you can't do that, है ना? So the being is still, relatively still, and there is a consciousness which is looking at all the activities of the day, what you said, what you interacted with, which person, and then those movements will come forward in front, like they will show themselves up. Yeah, me, like that, you know, they will come up. You won't have to do anything, just by the fact of looking at them. Consciousness, you're just looking at them. आप ये भी नहीं बोल रहे आओ आओ मेरे सामने आओ. You're not actively doing that. You're just looking. अच्छा ये, and automatically, if you are really looking clearly, you would know that okay, this was the moment where I could have been better. You know, I slipped. I was acting through an insecurity. I was not truly myself. So like that we can correct, until a moment comes that this process itself is not required, because you are that, you are living in that consciousness throughout. तो ये beginning का process इसलिए है क्योंकि when we are not living in that consciousness in 24/7 of the day, then at least रात को कर लो, है ना, सुबह उठ के कर लो, है ना, कभी तो करो, मतलब एक शुरुआत तो उसको देनी चाहिए ना. And slowly it becomes like as if you are that, you are looking all the time. वो जो हम parallel consciousness की बात करते हैं, है ना, तो क्योंकि वो parallel consciousness अभी नहीं है, to develop and to nurture and strengthen, to bring it to front, this is what we can do. And slowly we perfect our imperfections, and we also get to know where all I slip again and again, into where I don't want to slip. It comes to you, it is given to you. So this consciousness in us which looks at things, actually that's why people have said that it's right here but you don't see. See, this consciousness is what makes me know what am I thinking. Like if I ask you, Jagan, what are you thinking right now? You will look at your thoughts and then you will tell me, okay, this is what I am thinking. So this looking is present throughout. उसके बिना तो कुछ है ही नहीं ना. मतलब if I ask you, how are you feeling today? You will look into yourself and you will say, okay, maybe sad. You know, so that looking, because of that looking, you know, how am I feeling? You know, you're feeling angry. If that looking is not there, who will tell you that you are angry? So that looking is there. It's always there. Purusha, witnessing, you know, Sakshi. But it is taken a backstage. This is how the play is designed, that it has said, no, Prakriti, your movement comes first, I go into the backstage. Supernumerary on the stage. वो जो डांस कर रहे होते हैं तो 10 लोग होते हैं, 10 में आपको 10 का चेहरा थोड़ा ना दिखता है, जो मेन हीरो है उसका चेहरा दिख रहा है ना. हीरो के पीछे 10 लोग डांस कर रहे हैं, आपका ध्यान हीरो पे मोस्टली रहता है, अनलेस कि कोई पीछे वाला बहुत अच्छा डांस कर रहा हो तो उस पर भी जा सकता है. नो, कभी कभी होता है ऐसा कि पीछे वालों में से ही हीरो से बेटर कोई डांस कर रहा है तो तब पीछे ध्यान जाता है. बट अदरवाइज सुपर न्यूमररी इज इन द बैकग्राउंड, मतलब यू नो, सुपर न्यूमररी, इट डजंट मैटर, लाइक लॉट्स ऑफ नंबर्स एंड आई एम वन ऑफ देम, है ना. So Prakriti has been given the dominant hand. That's the heroine on the stage. Thoughts, feelings. तो मेरा ध्यान इस पे नहीं जाता कि कौन देख रहा है, मेरा ध्यान जाता है कंटेंट पे, कि मैं सोच क्या रही हूँ, है ना, कि उसने मुझे ये कहा था, आज ये हुआ था मेरे साथ, अच्छा 5 साल पहले ये हुआ था, आगे जाके ये होगा. So I'm lost there. Just because the pact was signed in such a way. You know, if you go to Savitri, it's clearly that the Purusha surrendered his will to Prakriti. That I am taking the backstage and now I will gain stature through your happenings. So if I come to front, it will be because of you that I come to front. So that's what happens, you know, life experiences, blows in the life, broken relationships, and tragedies, they all make the Purusha come forward. That's the design. So to come back to the question, what can see? This consciousness can see only. What else can see? This is mother's consciousness in us. It sees. So if we give it time, take a pause, it sees.
And also in the last few lines of that passage, it says, there are higher regions of consciousness beyond the intellect. And you have to stop all intellectual activity, make your mind a total blank before you can reach there. So that is that, like, I don't know what to say. Like, it's contradicting the natural way of, not the natural but the habits of past. It's contradicting it so much because and it's also questioning my sincerity in the mother, because I know, not really questioning, but it's asking. And I know this is absolutely true. There is no that, like, nobody can come and tell me this is false and I won't trust them. I know this is true. But like, to practice this, that to silent the intellectual being, I think this must be experimented. I really want to experiment this, um, because to stop all intellectual activity, to stop all thoughts, and uh, make my mind a total blank. Yeah. uh, Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. This is an experiment actually. Totally right. Without practically experimenting, these are just intellectual activity only what we are reading. है ना? सोच के देखो आप. If it's only like philosophizing, I can go and on and on and on, and no practical experiment, then it's same what he's saying, that you can go on and on and on. So practically experimenting is why I am reading, or we are reading here today. Otherwise, what's the fun? And we don't have to be, see, thought, and when our teachers and whatever happened in the past, it had a reason. You had to develop intellectual thought before you can abandon intellectual thought, right? है ना? तो आप ऐसी चीज, अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आज मैं बोलूं आई एम सरेंडरिंग माई सेल्फ टू द मदर. भाई, हु आर यू दैट यू आर सरेंडरिंग योर सेल्फ टू द मदर? कुछ हो तुम, है ना? तो अब मदर को देते हैं हम जब, तो क्या देते हैं? सुंदर फूल, है ना? कुछ गुड ऑफरिंग्स, कुछ मैंने बनाया सुंदर सा, मदर आई ऑफर इट टू यू. तो उससे पहले हमको डेवलप होना जरूरी है. सो इंटेलेक्चुअल थॉट वाज नेसेसरी अंटिल नाउ, बिफोर इट बिकम्स अननेसेसरी. है ना? सो वी डोंट हैव टू रिग्रेट दैट, ओ व्हाई डिडंट आई यू डू इट अर्लियर, बिकॉज अर्लियर यू कुड नॉट. देखो, दिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट यू आर हैविंग राइट नाउ, so why are you able to understand that now this is necessary? Because of the capacity to understand. See, it took you here, यहाँ तक ले आई वो हमको कि आज ही हम पेज पढ़ रहे हैं तो हमें लग रहा है यार अब तो जरूरी है इसको त्यागना. तो ये समझ कहाँ से आई? ये समझ 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 के ही तो आई. The very fact that we are able to understand the meaning of these words, whatever little meaning that we are getting, that's the purpose. It has served the purpose. And now, as if a new birth has to happen, which is awaiting, we have to give space to that. Where in Savitri we were reading, the inferior nature took too large a room. It must be pushed aside. तो अब वो inferior nature का purpose था अभी तक. It served us. So we can be grateful. So it must be now pushed aside. भैया आपका time आएगा, फिर आएगा, because inferior has to become, it has to change, it has to transform. But for that you have to get the higher light so that it can transform. So this has to be experimented. Yes.
Yeah, and here I can observe how my ego has played a role in more ways than I've imagined. Because um, just sitting quiet for a couple of minutes, I realized ki I'm reading through those lines, and this consciousness in me is telling me, how can you leave that intellectual being? Because that is your pride. And what is this pride for? I have no idea. Ask me this question, I'll say I have no idea. But I think yes. So that is what has stopped, kind of, from keeping the mind blank. कि, अरे क्या हो जाएगा? but I will anyway experiment.
And that's why we call it a leap of faith, because there comes a time where this ghabrahat is there. If we have being intellectuals,
Yes.
yeah. So we have to go through that ghabrahat, and we all can go through, I think. And then to make that leap of faith, because mother says that, Sri Aurobindo also, he talks about that instead of identifying with what you are right now, identify with the vastness which you will be. फिर उसमें घबराहट की बात नहीं है ना. द आइलैंड ईगो joined its continent. सावित्री में लाइन है, अशुपतिज योगा. अभी मैं क्या हूँ? आइलैंड. हाँ, मुझे घबराहट हो रही है, घबराहट हो रही है. ओ, आई विल नॉट सी माई बाउंड्री, है ना. द आइलैंड ईगो joined its continent. So से देखो द वास्टनेस. So he says that identify with that vastness. Then we don't have to ghabrao that much. The ghabrahat that comes, we don't have to aggravate that ghabrahat. When we know that actually we are going to be vaster. Who doesn't like to be vaster? It's not that we are not going to be. Beautiful lines in in Savitri about this expansion of the being, Ashupati's Yoga. Book 1, Canto 3. Yeah, anything here? Anyone?
A little bit tangential, but in terms of that quiet space sometimes, not, I mean, in even simple things, like if we've lost something, and how the mind then goes, okay, now where was it? And either one gets agitated because you can't find it, or then of course there's no quietness at all. And I found recently that just this, I think it was through one of the Namaha workshops it came about, or one of the other sessions, but like if you go to that consciousness above you and stay quiet, so it's almost in that experiment to stay quiet, there's not often that one can do it mentally. You keep above, and then just in that quietness something tells you where that thing is. And it's quite amazing and almost miraculous, like, oh, where did that voice suddenly come from telling me exactly where it was? Because whenever we may have put something there, it obviously stayed in the subconscious or somewhere. And just, and then that quietness with doing it repeatedly then starts becoming a habit, which can then be applied to other things, I feel. Because I found since I started doing that, that sometimes, okay, now even with the reading, is to keep that station above the head. And so then your mind is kind of quiet. And so then that higher consciousness that Jagat was saying, okay, it all kind of gets interconnected then, from the simple that, okay, this thing helped to find that quiet space then, which can also help me with either my reading or with my questioning or my reasoning. But it's wonderful to be able to find things easily without getting agitated.
Yeah. Us and our finding our little things. It's very interesting. Yeah, and again to Jagan's thing only, a lot of times, like I think it's the same thing, just different words. If when I get overwhelmed or when there's so much chaos or there's a question like it was being said, and if I don't know what it means to place it under the higher consciousness or in the light of it, just offering for me also, I feel acts like this. Okay, something is coming or a decision needs to be made rather than me making it. if one just gently offers it, because I don't know. Sometimes my 8-year-old, he says, I know, no. Like that's the way he just says it. So sometimes I tell myself that I know, no. And I just put it, right? Like earlier on, I remember how I used to put this as I used to first analyze everything. Okay, this is this, and now you say here or here, and that meant कि मैंने अपना सारा काम करके पूरा होमवर्क करके रखा है उनके आगे. And then I started seeing कि जो दो tables बनाए थे, the answer that came was a different thing. If I'm asking should I go left or right, and what I got nudged toward was go straight. So then one has to even drop the tables because one doesn't know what direction. And again, just this, that how it's say that be silent and sit and all. And just another modification is that if at times when I've just placed things and I've gone around my work, suddenly from somewhere an answer comes that okay, why did this happen? One just reflected on it. I wonder why that happened. And in some time one would get that, and then you can see that, oh, this is why that happened. So it's like it looks like a very difficult thing, but it's a very everyday thing that okay, I don't understand, so I'm giving it here to who understand or who can tell me why. And whatever I need to understand, having that faith that I will understand that, because a lot I don't need to even understand. So if this understanding is needed by me for some work, then the answer, one can say that then the answer can be provided. Otherwise, I would say 8 out of 10 things at least, one doesn't even need to bother that ये क्यों हुआ, कैसे हुआ, इसका क्या करना है. Just that not doing anything or not getting answer, and to be fine with not getting answers. We have this thing कि नहीं पता तो होना चाहिए, पता तो होना चाहिए. न्यूज पढ़ो, ये पढ़ो, वो पढ़ो, पता तो होना चाहिए. वो पता हो कि हुआ क्या है. जस्ट व्हेन वन सीज के उल्टा उसने मुझे, इट जस्ट टेक्स मी डाउन द डम्प्स अगेन. सो इफ इट कम्स एन ऑफर, एंड जो पता होना होगा वो पता हो ही जाता है, मतलब. तो या
Yeah, anything more? Anyone? So we'll maybe make use of some time to read a few lines from Savitri. So it was, this is what I was referring to. It's in Canto 5, Book 1. His soul retired from all that he had done. Hushed was the futile din of human toil. Forsaken wheeled the circle of the days. In distance sank the crowded tramp of life. The silence was his sole companion left. Impassive, he lived immune from earthly hopes. हमारे तो hopes ही क्या होते हैं? कोई smile pass कर दे, है ना, किसी का अप्रूवल मिल जाए, कोई तारीफ कर दे, ये वाली जॉब मिल जाए, वो बंदा वहां से हाँ बोल दे. Impassive, he lived immune from earthly hopes. A figure in the ineffable witness's shrine, pacing the vast cathedral of his thoughts, under its arches dim with infinity, and heavenward brooding of invisible wings. A call was on him from intangible heights, indifferent to the little outpost mind. This is what comes again and again. We see in different forms. indifferent to the little outpost mind. He dwelled in the wideness of the eternal's reign. और हमको ये छोड़ने में हो रहा है तकलीफ, ये लिटिल आउटपोस्ट माइंड हमको तकलीफ दे रहा है कि इसको मैं कैसे छोड़ दूं, है ना, इसी पे तो मैं अभी तक चला हूं, तो अब इसको कैसे छोड़ दूं. His being now exceeded thinkable space. His boundless thought was neighbor to cosmic sight. An universal light was in his eyes. A golden influx through heart flowed through heart and brain. A force came down into his mortal limbs. So this is a very practical experience which one can say it's our birthright. If we silence ourselves and station ourselves above the brain lodged consciousness, descent comes very, very tangibly. The descent comes and touches all the places which are open. It may not go into all the centers, because not every center may be open, but it comes, and whatever part is open, it kind of drenches itself in that force that comes from above. A golden influx flowed through heart and brain. A force came down into his mortal limbs. A current from eternal seas of bliss. He felt the invasion and the nameless joy. This is something which we can feel. It is to be felt. It's not like completely intangible. So the more we grow in our consciousness on the right path, we see the tangible results. Aware of his occult omnipotent source, allured by the omniscient ecstasy, a living center of the illimitable, widened to equate with the world's circumference. So we were talking about that vastness, the island ego joined its continent. Widened to equate with the world's circumference, he turned to his immense spiritual fate, abandoned on a canvas of torn air, a picture lost in far and fading streaks. The earth's nature summits sank below his feet. The nature he left below and he ascended. His earth nature as if a picture lost in far and fading streaks. He climbed to meet the infinite more above. The immobile's ocean silence saw him pass. Yes? Haru?
This canvas of torn air, what is it symbolizing?
So I believe that is referring to the earth nature, that it was left behind as if torn and picture fading. The earth nature. I believe we had done this, and I think it was referring to this earth nature summits.
Yeah, sank below his
Yeah,
feet.
because he climbed, so हम wait करते हैं ना कि हम कब ये चला जाएगा, all these imperfections in nature. So we don't have to wait, we have to climb, so that it is left behind.
And
Abandoned.
torn mostly, torn is like not of any use now, right? एक उसका भी वो हो गया, right? That it wasn't taking him anywhere. So canvas, but of torn.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
A picture
sad.
lost in far and fading streaks. So you have left it behind. ये नहीं वेट हो रही कि कब ये शांत होगा तो मैं आगे बढ़ूंगा. And this is for each one of us. All of us have to climb. All of us to make the ascension. He climbed to meet the infinite more above. The immobile's ocean silence saw him pass, an arrow leaping through eternity. Suddenly shot from the tense bow of time, a ray returning to its parent sun. there are many beautiful lines here, again and again he talks about that how it has to be left behind and you have to go further. So in Ashupati's yoga, we see this very, very clearly, how he's leaving it behind. And we are all alone in this journey, no matter how many friends we may have, hearing the echo of his single steps. A nameless marvel fills the motionless hours. His spirit mingles with eternity's heart and bears the silence of the infinite. Then see again, in a divine retreat from mortal thought. तो हमसे नहीं छोड़ी जाती. In a divine retreat from mortal thought, in a prodigious gesture of soul sight. And this again in the yoga of Savitri's yoga also, the parable of search for the soul, there also through different lines Sri Aurobindo says that how thought is like a curtain. It can't make the soul sight happen. It blocks the soul sight. So in a divine retreat from mortal thought, in a prodigious gesture of the soul sight. So when we retreat from mortal thought, then only we have the true sight. His being towered into pathless heights, naked of its vesture of humanity. So that which we cling to so tightly, that this is so human. How can I leave this? फिर तो मैं इंसान ही नहीं रहूंगी, फिर तो मैं कोल्ड हो जाऊंगी, इंडिफरेंट हो जाऊंगी. So that is what we have to do actually. Naked of its vesture of humanity. All that we call so, all the sentimentalism. As does it rose to meet him bare and pure, a strong descent leaped down, a might, a flame, enveloped him with its stupendous limbs, penetrated nerve and heart and brain, thrilled and fainted with the epiphany. His nature shuddered in the unknown's grasp. So even if you do it, you are able to stabilize your consciousness a little. You will see that when you feel the descent coming, one can't bear it actually. You will have to move because the nature is not yet ready to bear that descent, the force that can come down. So it happens in a very slow process, this descent, because we are not able to take it. So 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you are able to maybe feel the descent, like coming down, force from above, and you won't be able to sit for long. It's as if the being is not ready, the patrata is not there. So in degrees, in slow degrees, we become more stabilized and then it can do its work. The stability can be more gradually. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load. छोड़ आए हम वो गलियां type. A fire that seemed the body of a god consumed the limiting figures of the past. All that assails us in our thought, taken away, and made large room for a new self to live. Again, we see in Savitri's yoga, the inferior nature took too large a room. It must be pushed aside. And this is just like a little window, if we explore more, we have many, many more hints and clues that which is the way to go. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write. So whenever we have empty times, we all have empty times. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Those of us who are really inclined, maybe some of us are already experimenting with it. We must try to climb, just like an experiment, not expecting anything कि देखें होता क्या है. just like an experiment, like harmless experiment. You can't lose anything. So just stabilizing yourself above the head, mother says, as if a mirror is turned upwards, just that. And even if we don't, like last time we were having troubles, like okay, mirror is this way, that way, if the mind gets confused, even you forget the mirror, just place the consciousness a few inches above the head. We can do it before ending today. We can concentrate a little, and just nothing, no expectation, just stabilizing. क्या प्रॉब्लम है, सब कर सकते हैं. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So this is like, if we can, these are like holy dips in the Ganga river. If we have empty slots, we should make use of them, and then actually we feel so refreshed. The burden of past is shed. You're not ruminating, no regurgitation. Yeah, so we can take a few comments if there are any, and then we can maybe experiment 2-3 minutes with this. Yeah, anybody, anything?
Yeah, when we read this, there is a thought that comes, ki, yeah, I mean, but this is not something that I can experience or I have experienced, or it's too out there. And yet we have all had these experience where we have felt some expansion. We have connected to some higher spaces, even when one is standing in front of a, ocean or a river, or when one is on the mountains. There is this peace, there is this sense of things are bigger than me. There's something that gets stilled. There's something that gets even, I don't know, poked, that yes, more than you, more than you. And it's like, it's like, okay, you're taking a therapy session and somebody says, okay, tell me your first memory of that. And suddenly you see yourself as 2-year-old hearing this. If you maybe experimented or know about, say, past life regressions. Okay, you're just lying down and a voice says, okay, go back. And back you go. So there's so much of me that I am not consciously aware of, but it's there, right? Like there's so much that even on this thing that I don't know, one point, one prompt, and here comes an answer or a memory or a thought or something from some depths that you're not aware of. So it again shows that it's not that it's I lack in anything, or I'm, there's something that is missing. It's just again that I'm not seeing it. So if I just open to this thing that yes, I am not seeing this, and may it be shown, right? Like whatever I'm ready for, whatever is needed, suddenly a lot may open, right? Just that like I am the wall, like you had written once, right? That I found that I'm the wall around myself again and again in practical terms. I remember growing up, my father used to read from somewhere, I don't know where it, there was a line that, मैं सुख से सोया, मैंने कुछ ना जाना, like something like this. So the guru is asking कि कौन सुख से सोया, किसने नहीं जाना, है ना? Who knows that who slept wonderfully? So again, those things we are aware of, that yes, there is a consciousness which is seeing over even when I am asleep. So just small prompts that show us that yes, I'm not wanting to look at them, but the clues are all around if I would only just see, right? Like how he says that just go quiet, just observe, no judgment. तो बहुत कुछ उसी में ही दिख जाएगा if I can just practice even that, क्योंकि let me at least see के चल क्या रहा है. And yeah.
Also this the why concentrate, for example. when we are able to concentrate, it gives us joy. Mother says progress gives us joy. So it is actually a progress that I was able to ingather the scattered threads of consciousness for this much of a time. And see, I tried and I was able to do it. It gives us joy. And then slowly, as we practice, there comes a time, then one click, and you are able to concentrate. It initially it may take more time. That okay, 10 minutes you are struggling, and maybe in the 11th minute you were able to ingather. है ना, होता है starting में. And then slowly there comes a time, or maybe there are times when we are troubled more. The day has been stressful or whatever, we are more troubled. So after the 12th minute, 13th minute, we come to a stage where it's more ingathered and pinpointed. But then slowly, as we continue to practice, because why? Because it is giving me joy. That, see, it's like taming the mind only. What is it but not taming the mind? So the mind is all scattered and you are taming it. You are saying, come back, my dear, and it is coming back. It is you are saying, okay, let's concentrate today here, and it is saying, okay, master. Not initially on the first day, but slowly. So it gives us joy. And this is what is tapas. This is what is ingathering, tapasya. So not for anything else, but just for the joy of, we are all seeking joy. If we ask truly, मेरे बच्चे की यहाँ पे इस हार्वर्ड वाले में हो जाए, why? Because it will make him happy and that will make me happy, है ना? So ultimately we are all seeking that joy. And if we work on ourselves and whatever little progress we make, it gives us joy. Albert Einstein, there was a quote from Albert Einstein which said, education is what is left after you've forgotten everything that you studied, something like that. So imagine that we attended like a 2 hour of a session, or maybe we read a book and everything gone blank. No intellectualization, no philosophization happening, no rumination. But there is something that stayed with you. It became a part of your being. That is enough. That means it educated you. It became a part of your being. तो ये सब हम एक्चुअली में हमें भूल जाना चाहिए जो भी हम पढ़ते हैं. मतलब आई एक्चुअली ऑफन वंडर बिकॉज एट टाइम्स आई एम इन द सेशन एंड आफ्टर दैट आई डोंट रिमेंबर व्हाट आई सेड, और इट्स लाइक टोटली अ ब्लैंक. Why do I need to bother? Because whatever said was at that moment. Now I don't have to regurgitate, ruminate about it. So ये जो मन को भारी रखने की हमको आदत होती है, ये हमको धीरे धीरे त्यागनी चाहिए. अब आज मैंने बोल दिया तो हो सकता है मुझे ये याद रहे. खूब पिटाई होगी मेरी.
One of Mother's prayers, she says, that we have this sense of conservation kind of thing, and that we have to let go, even if it's something very good or whatever it is. I can't remember which prayer,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
a beautiful prayer,
I remember.
isn't it?
I remember, yes.
Yeah.
So Mother says that there was something that came to me, like as if something was given, and I tried to write it down. And when I tried to write it down, I felt like it's like an insult on you that wouldn't you give it to me again when I need it, so something like that. And yeah.
Yeah. Sense of preservation. I think that's the
Yes.
word that she used.
Preservation. Yes.
Yeah.
So मतलब होता है ना, कभी कभी हमको इंसाइट आती है तो हमें लगता है ओ बढ़िया वाली आई लिख लेते हैं. So like that she says that as if when I tried to do it, it felt as if it's an insult on you. Don't I have faith in you, that when it's needed again you will give it to me again. Yes. Yeah, anything more? Anyone? Okay, so let's take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. We'll just try to ingather ourselves and place our attention for a change. Those of us maybe who are new to this, will place it above our head, few inches above the head, and just place it there, like just stabilizing there, nothing else. So no need to get bothered with the thoughts if they will be there, but we just do our work which is ascribed to us. The moment we indulge in the thoughts, it means we are going again in the brain lost consciousness, and we don't right now want to go there.